each has different financial demands that they need to be able to do their scheduling. But I think that the one thing that's clear that we want to get rid of is the 3 road games in September that just put a team, so disadvantaged. And again, I've said this publicly over the course of the last year now, that the Boise State model that Brian Harsin was part of back in the 2001-2-3 era that allowed Boise State to win some non-conference games, but more importantly, to put them in position to then get into conference play and be successful in conference play. And as much as you want to talk about parity in a league, in order for a league like the Sun Belt to really establish itself, there needs to be a team that can be a perennial or back-to-back or have that type of success. And with that success, it does breed down. Teams got better in the WAC because they were chasing Boise State or Fresno State or Hawaii, the kind of the premier teams, and that allowed the entire league to get better. So there's not a specific formula, but it's definitely to reduce and limit and minimize those. As the chancellor at Troy, Jack Hawkins, who's been the chair of the Sunbelt CEOs for the last 3 years now, he says we cannot continue to be addicted to those $1 million guarantee games.
Karl, along that line, though, if one thing with looking like all the AQ conferences that we now call are going to 9 conference games, so it may be hard. It's going to be harder to get them to come to your place, and also if the selection committee is going to use strength of schedule for the top 4 teams, what are they going to use as their criteria for that non-AQ or gang of 5, whatever you want to call it, to get that bowl slot?
The selection committee, as you know, hasn't been identified and hasn't been confirmed. There are some principles that have been adopted in terms of how the committee will work, and strength of schedule will be one. And I think that what we're seeing with the conferences that are going to 9 conference games that historically have been at 8, that's part of their strategic scheduling, and that as they put their champions into the mix for the top 4, the selection committee is going to look for whatever criteria to differentiate between number 4 and number 5 or whatever. So I think that they recognize the need for that scheduling. And again, it hasn't been decided, but the assumption is that the 5 champions, and they have to be champions, that the 5 champions would go on a board, and the selection committee would use the same criteria to determine and evaluate those 5 to determine who is the top ranked or who is the team that would advance on. So that again, just hypothetically, Sun Belt champion is going to be evaluated against the other 4 champions, and that committee is going to be looking at what our schedule is, and it's got to be balanced, but it also has to have. We know that you can't. Very rarely can you lose a game and achieve top 15 status. And if you lose 2 games, it's almost impossible to get into that mix. So again, it's the balance of being able to demonstrate a competitive schedule, but at the same time to make sure you win the games that you're supposed to win, especially in league play.
Are there any schools in your league where they have schedules now or future schedules set up where you think that's what you guys need to do? You like the scheduling, or do you think everyone kind of needs to kind of?
I've seen some changes in the last year that teams are starting to trend towards that type of schedule. And again, games are contractual, and it's going to take time to, as Chancellor Hawkins says, to wean ourselves off of some of those the multiple games, and it is. And we know that in this time, higher education in many of the states that are represented in this room today are facing severe financial crises, and that the institutional funding that maybe has been in place is not increasing, that's for sure. So, you know, there has to be a business model that works as well. But I think that I think we're seeing. I think we recognize what we have to do.
Karl, some of the coaches and players today kind of address the challenges that come with midweek games, Tuesdays and Thursdays. What are the trade-off benefits to that as opposed to the challenges?
I think what we saw here today was ESPN3 being part of this, and you know, the contract that we have with ESPN is what it is, and it's probably not going to change dramatically, in that we have a fairly lengthy arrangement. But there's some of us in this room who can remember when ESPN had one platform, the original ESPN. ESPN2 came along, and people were skeptical that ESPN2 was just a venue or a vehicle that that was relegated to whatever, billiards and such. And we saw ESPN2 grow to become almost an equal. We saw the same thing with ESPNU, and it now has reached a level that is acceptable in the college world and the programming that's being done. And now we're seeing ESPN turn to ESPN News for ESPN News to be a carrier of live sports. And what they've done with ESPN3 and the audiences that they have, I think, established and created, and perhaps even a demographics that weren't watching college football on TV because they have other methodology to watch, or being able to watch college football. We know that attendance is down, in-stadium attendance is down, I think, over the, kind of combined across the board. Are we losing a generation of potential football fans? And I think that ESPN3 gives us that chance to capture the younger generation. So ESPN will, as Jeremy Fowler stated in a CBS.com story last week, ESPN, per existing contracts, have a certain number of games that they can televise on Tuesday or Thursday or Friday. So, we're at their mercy there. What we do try to do, and that once we get those Tuesdays or Thursday games, we try to balance the schedule around them to make sure that a team, isn't put at a disadvantage. And to be honest with you, Tim, from a competitive standpoint, it's actually better to play on Tuesday or Wednesday, in that any of those Tuesday, Wednesday games, you don't play the Saturday before, and you don't play the Saturday after. Now it makes it hard for the schedule makers when you take out 2 Saturdays, but from a competitive standpoint, if you play on Tuesday or Wednesday, you're more than likely not going to play again until the following Saturday, and you have a full recovery period. Anything else? Let me make a couple of introductions, and these individuals all will be available for one-on-ones in the back of the room, and it's not going to be that many, so I think maybe just a wave of the hand so the media can identify. Billy Ferrante with Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation and the CEO of the R&L Carrier Bowl Game. Jerry Silverstein, CEO of GoDaddy Bowl. Rod Mickler with Cox Sports TV, and our partner with his counterpart in Atlanta that creates the Sun Belt Network that again has been a very, very valuable piece for us. I don't know if Paul Houlihan slipped in from the Sugar Bowl, that he was expected to be here. Reed Sigmund, CFO, is in the back of the room with the BCS and is available to address any of your questions regarding either the current BCS or the future college football playoff. As you may know, the prior to the development of the college football playoff, there really wasn't an entity that was the BCS. And there was a set of agreements between parties that agreed from a television standpoint to bowls to bowl games, and there was not a corporate entity. And so when anybody ever said we're going to sue the BCS, there really wasn't anybody to sue. Now, I'm not to say that the new system, won't be attacked and won't be, but it's now a corporate structure. Bill Hancock, the longtime executive director of the BCS, is now the president CEO of the college football playoff, and he's put together a staff of very, very talented college football, and the majority of them coming out of the college system or the event system to put on the two semifinal games and the championship game. So Reed is here today and is available for you there. Alan Gooch, executive director of the Cure Bowl in Orlando, an organization, a nonprofit organization that's been in place in Orlando for several years now, waiting for the NCAA moratorium on new bowls to expire, and the Sun Belt has been in dialogue and conversation with Alan and the Cure Bowl for several months now. We appreciate him being here. And then finally, the Sun Belt athletic directors, some that are attending their very first Sun Belt media day and meetings tomorrow. We've had obviously a significant change in membership, but we've also had a significant change in kind of sitting athletic directors, and they will all be in the back, and you'll notice that some of them have enough girth that they're my offensive linemen, so take advantage of the, yeah, that's you, John Hartwell, yes, sir. So with that, in the last bit of business, the buses for Pat O's departs at 5:45 from the Hyatt. There will be 4 mini buses that will transport you to Pat O's for some good food and beverage and entertainment tonight. And I think that the schedule now is that the first bus will depart approximately at 9 o'clock. But again, don't feel like you're obligated to return on the buses if you want to stray or stroll. I don't know what the right word is, but towards the quarter. So AD meeting tomorrow morning, promptly at 8:30. So that'll be in the Hyatt. Any other? Before we end, I just want to really give a shout out to all my staff that is here and the job that they did in creating this. John McElwain and Travis and Bert especially, the work that they did behind the scenes I can't tell you the number of people that have come up to me and say that this event, just from a presentation standpoint, from a convenience standpoint, from just a production, has been top notch. And like I said to the ESPN3 people, we want to look like our peer conferences. And today I'm very proud of the presentation that we've made, that the Sun Belt has definitely come to the table on this. So congratulations to staff. With that, we stand adjourned for any follow-ups and one-on-ones in the back. Thanks everyone for coming.